Answers with Dr. Reju is a platform where we take a more in-depth and intentional look into various life issues and bring clarification so we can navigate our way through with knowledge. Join us on Patrice Radio as we take this journey to discovery. Do remember to follow, like, and engage us on Instagram at Patrice_radio and also on YouTube via Patrice Radio Live. Thank you.
A better Nigeria, is it a myth, or do we keep hoping?
Nigeria is a highly religious country. How come corruption thrives?
Why is adoption not encouraged in Nigeria? Is there a future for the Nigerian youth?
Being rich and famous, is that the only reason for being an artist?
What makes a great nation? Is it the leaders? What about the people?
This is Answers with Dr. Reju.
Good evening and welcome to another interesting episode on Answers with Dr. Reju, where critical life issues are clarified. My name is Lois and I'm here again with a full house. I have Joseph, I have Agnes, and of course Joanne. You're welcome to the house, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And of course Dr. Reju, the Chief Resource Person of the Center for Transformational Leadership. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, Lois. Glad to be here.
Today, we'll be talking about multi-talented youth and career choice. Multi-talented youth and career choice. Before we came on, Dr. Reju was asking, what did that mean, or what does that mean? But today we're going to, he of course will understand what that means. You know, we are millennials, we are young people, and there are a whole lot of young people these days that have talents and a lot of skills just in one person. An example of someone that I know is you. I believe.
So am I millennial?
Yes, of course. You are. Of course you are, sir. And
okay.
You know, you are a teacher. Okay. So you I want to ask this question. How can young people, how can a person who has different talent, how can he merge his talent under one umbrella? So that it you know doesn't cause conflict.
That's a mouthful there. How can a talented person, you know, without trying to use a big word, that's like, how can that be like a convergence? How can, first of all, this person needs to know that he's one person. He just has many talents, you know, and he also needs to know that if his or her understanding of the talent is accurate, right, those talents will be complementary. They won't conflict. So first of all, a multi-talented person cannot be confused. He cannot be confused because the multi-talent will not clash. You know, it will not clash. You just describe me as a teacher, as a husband, as a maybe development expert, you know, as a lecturer. If you look at all that, there's a way that they relate, they complement. So I'm not getting out of myself to doing things. The challenge I have with these millennials that you have described today is that there is no self-understanding. Sometimes when they talk about their talents, by the time you ask 2 or 3 questions, they're actually living a lie. They're actually living a lie. And that doesn't mean that they are not talented, but their understanding and perception of what they call their talent most of the time is a wrong assumption. Is an illusion. It might be the talent of someone they admire, right? That they believe is their talent too. Now, that you can do something well doesn't mean it's your talent. It might be circumstantial, it might be situational. So this thing has to start from from a point of self-understanding. A lot of these millennials really lack that self-understanding. Most of what they consider to be their talent, you discover that it's not a reflection of their personality. So that's where I want to start from, because if we are sitting down here and we are talking about the challenge of being multi-talented and then career, that means there's a problem, because your talent has speaking. I mean, it has spoken massively about your career prospect. I don't know if that makes sense. So there's a lot of illusion, there's a lot of assumption, a lot of presumptions out there about what they understand to be their talent. Most of the time, what they consider to be their, I'm repeating it because that's the reality. Most of what they consider to be their talent is the talent of someone they admire. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe we should. I think we started. We didn't start where we're supposed to start. I think, from what you're saying,
Yeah.
I feel maybe we should go back to, defining what talent is.
Okay.
And maybe what career is.
Yeah.
Merge it together
Because
so
it
that
looks like what I have in my mind is beginning to shake a bit. So
Okay.
maybe we should just establish what talent is.
You know, talent. I mean, talent should be your, inborn giftings that's unique to you. That's unique to you, and talent being unique to you doesn't mean that other people don't have it. I might have a talent to be a footballer, right? But football has many roles. Even if I play maybe like a central attack, right? I'm using something that everybody can easily relate with. Even if I play central attack, because it's me, right? Because it's Dr. Reju. There's a way Dr. Reju plays central attack that is different from another central attack who is not Dr. Reju. But meanwhile, we both play central attack, right? So talent is something that is inborn. It's not something that you learn to have. It's something you have that you learn, to improve on. Right? So it's not external. And I want those listening to me, if these words are new to you, please check it out in dictionary. It's not external. It's intrinsic. It's something you were born with. It's something you don't struggle to do. So like I said, it's not something you grow to have. It's something you have that you need to grow it. So that's talent.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
that's talent.
So it feels like it's like the opposite of a skill.
Skill is advanced talent. Is developed talent. Yeah. Skill will be developed talent. Because I might have a talent and I'm not skillful at it. I might have a talent to be a footballer, and because I never develop it, I never get skillful as a footballer. So that's the way it is. So skill is the outcome of a whole process of developing the talent. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the way it is. That's the way it works.
Okay, sir, when you look at some people, let's say during the Renaissance, people like Leonardo da Vinci, they had they were, he was involved with the military, he was involved with the art, with writing, and a lot of things he designed those days still stands today. Now there are young people who might maybe, if they, like you said, circumstantial, maybe circumstances put them in a position where they had to learn a skill. Let's say maybe an older brother or their dad was doing something and they followed and learned, but it might not be really inborn, but they know how to do this thing like every other person who can do it. And then there are other things they have in them. So sometimes there's this confusion. Should I follow what I know how to do, or should I follow the talent I know I have and develop them? So there's this confusion.
There is a difference between what you love to do, right, and what you can do. That you love it doesn't mean you can do it, right? I would love to play musical instruments, but I don't know how to play it. So I can't sit and be mourning and maybe I'm regretting and things like that. So there's a big difference. Life is about you expressing your personality. Everything you do in life must be an expression of your personality. So it's and that takes away a lot of pressure. That takes away the pressure of competition, because there's something you can do that only you can do it the way you can do it. So that gives you a platform that you are competing with yourself. So most times, like I said, talent is just a seed. It's a deposit. It has to be honed. It has to be developed before it can be of benefit. And let me also say that you mentioned Leonardo da Vinci and all those kind of things. You see, when you're young, right, people naturally are multi-talented. We are not mono-talented. You can do a lot of things. But you see, as you grow in life, you discover that you begin to realize that you have a dominant, because we normally use also as gift, that you have a dominant gift. So it's that dominant that begins to get much of your attention. So the other ones might come as secondary, but you have a dominant gift, which is the one that actually, draws you in. So there are a lot of people that can do a lot of other things, but they have a dominant. Even maybe a musician can, you can play a lot of instruments, but there's one that you are really known for. Most good musicians play all instruments. Some singers can sing all parts, right? But they know that when it comes to tenor, this is where this guy is.
Yeah.
The guy that sings tenor can, will pass for soprano, will pass for alto, right? But we know that this is what this guy really is. Yeah. He can improvise in other areas. Just again, like football, you can get somebody who is a midfielder. If there is need for it, you can convert the person to a defender. Yeah. But that doesn't mean he's a defender. But he can function there, but not at the level of someone who is an established defender. Sure. So that's the way it is. That's the way it is. But my advice is always that when you're young, experiment. Right? Experiment. Life gives room for a lot of experimentation. Learn how to fail. Attempt things. At the beginning, you can even copy people. It's allowed. But it must get to a point at a certain stage in your life where you no longer deceive yourself because you are sort of attracted to someone. You see, gifted people can be very overwhelming. They can really make you want to be like them. And I tell those I lead, one of me is enough on earth. Right? One of me is enough. The world doesn't need two of me. Right? So don't be me. You can be like me, but don't be me. Don't try and do things the way I do it. You can do what I do, right? But you must have your own flavor. So this is a challenge I've had, and that's why society is becoming so, so kind of, there's no variety, no diversity. Everybody is sort of just going in the same direction. You can see a lot of people somewhere and you say, I'm into spoken word. Everybody is into spoken word. Everybody does poetry. Just sort of, and there's still a lot of, there was time on this program we spoke about blue ocean and red ocean. So these things have to be, a lot of people are photocopies. It's good we are talking about giftings and talents today. A lot of people are living in self-deceit because they are trying to do something that's been done by somebody they admire. I keep repeating that because that's the truth. That's the truth.
Okay, so I've seen scenarios where we're discussing about talents and all, and you get people, especially millennials, complaining, okay, I can't really figure out that one thing I can do, that just me, they can do it the way I do it. I can't really figure out that thing. How possible is that?
Again, it might be due to the reason I just made. You see, people need to be taught, and what teaching is basically not introducing something that is strange to someone. Teaching is introducing the learner to the learner. Right. Yeah, that's what accurate teaching is. You are trying to get the person you are teaching to understand himself or herself, not something that is external. So it's when somebody said, I really don't know what I can do. You have to let the person first of all know that that's not true. In the language where I grew up, they said if the eye is patient, you can see the nose. If you just focus, right? If the eye will just focus, Lois is trying it. If you just focus and you just focus, after a while, if you can keep that focus, you see your nose. Most times, but if the eye is looking around, most times, the point I'm trying to make is that we don't look inwards. Millennials don't have confidence in themselves. They are always reacting. They are trying to make a point. They want to impress. So they are not starting life from themselves. So, if I'm going to give as much as I don't like, as a teacher, giving prescriptive teaching, what I mean by that is 7 steps. But when people ask me, what can I do? I always respond with a question. What do you like to do? Not what you want to do. What makes you comfortable? What is it that you do and you don't struggle? And sometimes we don't value those things because society don't. Mm-hmm. So we just park it aside. What is it that you do, without effort? What gives you joy when you do it? It might be something as simple as cooking. Yeah. You just feel good when you cook, And it has to be so because we've been eating because people have been cooking. But a lot of food we have never tasted. Because the person that's going to cook it is yet to believe in himself or herself. There's nothing being done on earth today that can be improved upon. There are a lot of things that can still be done on earth that's not even been introduced. I think I gave it in a seminar I had about an article published in one international, online magazine that, the article actually featured 25 jobs that were not available about 10 years ago. And this article was in 2016 or so. Right? 10 years before 2016 is 2006, right? In 2006, there was something called Uber driver. Right? There's no social media manager. Right? So, fast forward in 10 years, and that article concluded by saying that most people in primary school today, as at that 2016, the work they are going to do when they finish school has not been discovered. Right? It's not been discovered. So these are the realities of our day, right? And you people just, first of all, it must start from that self-understanding, self-discovery. The people you admire, those who are there for long period, they have a sustained relevance. They don't sweat. They're just being themselves. If you struggle to write a song, you are not a songwriter. Yeah. If you ever struggle to write a song, you are not a songwriter. If I pick my pen to write an article, right, and I'm not writing, I drop the pen and I walk off because I know I can write, but that's not the best time to write. Right? I do my write-ups. It's concluded in my mind. I just pour it down. One musician I really love to listen to, the guy's name is Mark Schultz. His most profound music is that he wrote it in 5 minutes. Yeah. 5 minutes. And it was all done. So you see, that's the way it works. So now, when he's done that, as he grows with that, he now begins to understand his personality the more. Right? Because you just know that do it now. And it comes. Sometimes you might pass you by and then you learn that lesson. Every time that rush comes, make sure you sit and you do it. Yeah. I'm a public speaker and I have to be in a particular mode before I know that this is the time. So that's how this talent and gift works. Am I communicating with you guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. We still have more questions for you, so I hope you're ready.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned something as regards people just following what they admire in others. You know, there's this thing I observe, especially in jobs, is that whenever something is trending, that's when everybody wants to show that they have talent. And I discovered that it's not only a problem of jaws, it's a global problem,
Yeah.
because everybody now wants to be in the tech industry,
Yeah.
because it is trending, and a lot of billionaires came from there. So, and it's like money is one of the major driving force.
Yeah.
So how do we reconcile that?
Because you mentioned money, I'm going to paint a reality again, right? That the young ones out there need to understand this. People, wealthy people, right? Their objective, their goal was never to be wealthy. I have never seen anyone who is so wealthy, financially now, monetarily, that the goal was to make a lot of money. In fact, let me give you a quote from Bill Gates. He said, "A guarantee you will never have money is that you constantly think about making it." Right? That's from Bill Gates. Right? And that a guarantee you will have it is that you focus on a particular way you can add value to mankind. He said money is a natural consequence. The reason there's so much activity, especially among the youths in jobs, so much activity going on, majority of these guys, if they want to be sincere, right, and they give you their bank balance, they're broke. They don't have money. So it's like, it's like they're putting in so much effort because the end goal, the objective is to get money, is to get famous, right? But they don't have it. Why? They are not really adding value. It's an economic term. What's wealth? Wealth is not money. Wealth is defined as the ability to produce. What's poverty? Poverty is not lack of money. Poverty is inability to produce. The reason Africa is poor, we don't produce. Everything in this room, none of them were produced in Africa. They're imported. Right? They're all imported. Sadly so, the raw materials were taken from here. So let's leave that. But you see, the young ones out there need to understand that reality. The moment money is the reason why you want to do something, you might have some momentary, because the person looking at money, the person chasing money doesn't know anything about cost. Doesn't know anything about cost. He just want to have money. It costs to make money. By the time you back out the cost from the money you've made, you're back to zero. So these are the things that this generation need to learn. They need to cool down and learn. When somebody said they want to pursue a career in music, I said, music is just the whole environment where you want to plant the music is more important than the music. Right? So these are the kind of things that people only see bits and pieces of what they want to do. It takes learning. Right? If you are really gifted, right, you determine your price. Sure. There was a time we used to operate a studio, and I told this guy who, I said, if anyone calls you to come and play, tell them to call the studio. Right? What registered in his mind is that if I tell them to call the studio, they won't call me back. I will lose the money. I say, unknown to, if you ask them to call the studio, they know that this is not an ordinary person. This person has a manager. This person has a structure, right? They're already imagining in their minds that we're calling someone of value. But if they can just pick you up in terminus and you go and... I've met a guy in this town before, played guitar on a particular musical project that it was a huge success. What the guy in charge of the project gave him was a copy of the CD. Yeah. Because I asked him, how much were you paid? He said he gave me a copy of the CD. It's because I see why the guy who owns the project has done something terribly bad, but the way you presented yourself also determines your price. So you see, these are the issues that people need to learn. You need to have good self-esteem. So what is going to keep happening to the young ones, especially in Jos, and they are going to keep wallowing in poverty and lack, is because they are looking for money and fame. Just because you have 200 people following you on Instagram, honestly, they are not really following you anywhere.
Okay, sir.
Are you guys with me?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay, so sir, is money, is it a factor for choosing career?
No, it can't be based on what I just said. Because the truth is, money is an end product of a process. You don't look for money, look for what produces money. Right? that is as simple as that. Money doesn't, you can't be looking for mango. Right? Go and plant mango. Seed. And I'm talking about the seed that all these, charlatans in all of these churches are talking about. That's not the one I'm talking about. Right? So it's about hard work. Because like I said, talent is just like a seed. You don't eat a seed. Right? You have to plant it, nurture it, cultivate it, right? Create the right environment for it, respect the weather, protect it, for it to germinate, right? That's how it works also with talent. And this talent, we're talking about the totality of you. The totality of you. A lot of people that I see around just are half-baked. It's not enough to have a gift. You also need an exposure. And the exposure, I'm not talking about popularity. You need to understand how the whole environment works before you can actually operate there. You even need to look for who complements you, who can add value to you so that you can become better. There's a musician I always love to listen to, Michael Card. And he was talking about, I forgot the name of the guitarist that played with him on a particular project. And he said, I think the guy's name is Green or something like that. The name is, but the principle is what I want to bring out. He said, you see, there are some, I'm quoting him, that there are some musicians, that are some gifted musicians that when they play, they intimidate you. But that there's something different about this guy, that when he plays around you, you want to be better. You want to be better. That this guy, whenever he loves playing with him, because when he's around him, he feels he can be better. He feels he wants to be better. So so Michael knows that in my own self, there's a limit I can go. But when I connect with someone else, I get better. But that's why, the moment you are very individualistic, you won't go far. You won't go far. If you just want to have a name, you won't go far. You will not go. I met a group of guys in Nairobi. They just came out with a movie. And I said, oh, this is a very nice movie. And the first thing they said was that it's been nominated for an award. I said, if that's what's giving you fulfillment, you won't go far. I said, what you want to sell is your message. What you want to sell in your movie is your worldview. You have a message. The moment you are driven by awards, you can no longer sell the message. Because the person giving you the award will now have to give you a message that is not yours. And if you are preaching a message, communicating the message that is not yours, you can't get to the peak of it. Am I making sense? Yeah. Because this is a city, a region where most of people who are talking, want to have a rave and all those kind of things, they are artists. And that's why I'm using those examples. Right? And that's why you have it. This is just a deposit of gifted people here. And they're broke. They're unhappy. They're not fulfilled.
Okay, sir. So let's talk about stability and consistency.
Okay.
So most times we get to see young people come up with very brilliant ideas. Like for example, myself, there are times I develop or I realize or recognize this skill or talent, and I want to build on it.
Yeah.
But then there's always that issue of consistency to keep building and developing on that thing until it becomes something great.
Yeah.
So how can young people be able to manage that problem?
One, again, it goes back to my first answer. It's self-belief. Right? It's self-belief. The reason people don't stay with it, the reason people don't, they let how people see it also determine how they see it. Right? But the one that people will eventually, you see, there is a saying in African proverb that said that people only bow to the risen sun. Right? The sun does not reason, you look at it in the face. But when it's full blown, you bow. Right? So people don't pay that price where they stay. You see, if you listen to Fela's early music, it wasn't really anything. Right? But the guy stayed with it. The music was consistent. Style consistent. He wasn't blowing, on all, he wasn't going in different directions. He stayed with it until it became something that is like a risen sun that everybody bowed to. So the reason you don't stay with it is because you allow others put a value on it for you. Right? And there's also the principle that when you light a match, you cover it from the wind. Right? You cover it from the wind so that it won't snuff out the flame, that fire. And you now make that match, you connect it to other, inflammable materials. After a while, what you are covering it from, you open it to it. What could snuff it out when it was small now helps it to become a bonfire. You see, these are the principles of life. Many times we want to put the match in the wind. Right? You want to put it in the wind and you only snuff it out. And you get frustrated. So you go to another match. You light another match. So these are the realities, guys, that a lot of people don't stay with it because they want a quick fix. They want the first, outcome or their first outing to be a big hit. Right? You set up the barbing salon today and you want there to be a queue outside. They've never seen you barb. Right? You see, people need to allow their products develop. Most companies, where the department where they invest the most is where they call product development. Right? Product development. And the result is not instant. That's another problem with you millennials. You want instant feedback, instant reward. You want to put it in today, and become a billionaire tomorrow. You want to hit it bad. You can't just wait to be out there. You want to be among the big boys. So these are the things, Joanne, that staying with it is your belief in it. And believing in it is because you believe in yourself. That honestly, there's some, I have something small. I always give the story of that little boy who learned how to walk. When he took one step, the guy stopped and clapped for himself. Right? Looked around and clapped for himself. But man, one step. So learn to appreciate the little things. Because, there was a time where, I don't know the episode we were having then when we were talking about appreciating small. Millennials don't like small. Right? If you give birth to a child and the child comes with, white beards, that's not good news. That's scary. That's a monster. Right? So these are to stay with it will come out of not what people say about it, but your belief in it. Just not. Yeah.
Oh, all right. We have come to the end of the program for today.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
We'll see you next time for another interesting and exciting episode. Thank you for listening.
This is Partridge Radio.